I tweeted out about halfway through, I said, this speech is magnificent. It's a masterpiece in both letter and delivery, because I think many people who are not familiar with political oratory have failed to recognize how incredibly difficult this speech was to give. We have just experienced an historic moment. This man was within millimeters of being murdered. He survived by an apparent miracle. And then 2 days later, he's at a political convention, and time keeps moving on. So we're just in the throes of the campaign again. His opponent, the incumbent president, might drop out of the race because he has dementia. President Trump doesn't even know who his opponent will be. Everything is so up in the air, and so Trump's got to come into the convention. He's got a bandage on his ear because part of it was blown off days ago. Then he's got to talk about this national trauma that just occurred, and give his eyewitness account. He's got to relive the moment that he almost died and that one of his supporters did die. He's got to pay honor to the man who did die. And then he's got to give a convention speech. Then he's got to give a nomination acceptance speech. That is so difficult. And the big criticism that the speech is getting is that it went on too long, and it went on really long. By historical standards, it didn't go on extraordinarily long. But now we all have the attention span of a gnat, so nobody can pay attention to anything longer than a TikTok. It went on for 92 minutes. There is a rhetorical purpose for that length. Maybe Trump just went on and he just had a lot to say. The guy was almost murdered a few days ago. I think he could speak his mind. But the campaign purpose of giving this long a speech is to draw even more sharply that contrast between him and Biden. Biden, at this point, by the time Trump took the stage, Biden had probably been asleep for hours. Sincerely, there's no way the guy was still up watching the speech. And there's no way Biden could have spoken at this length, with this clarity, with this energy, for even a fraction of the time Trump did. So it just from the perspective of a campaign, it is digging in and further highlighting the vast difference between these two candidates in terms of their energy, in terms of their focus, in terms of their mental acuity. So Trump gets into this portion of the speech where he talks about all of his accomplishments when he was in office. And one of the stranger things that he included, I think some people were scratching their heads, was his right to try regulations. Before I get into it at all, here's Trump talking about it.
We got right to try. They were trying to get that for 52 years. Somebody's terminally ill, and hopefully there's nobody in this audience, but it does happen a lot. They're terminally ill and they can't use our new space age drugs and other things that we are way ahead. We have the greatest doctors in the world, the greatest laboratories in the world, and you can't do it. They've been trying to get that approved for 52 years. Wasn't that easy? The insurance companies didn't want to do it. They didn't want the risk. The labs didn't want to do it because if it didn't work, people are pretty far down the line toward death. They didn't want to do it. The doctors didn't want to have it on their records, so I got everybody into an office. 52 years they tried. Sounds simple, but it's not. And I got them to agree that somebody that needs it will, instead of going to Asia, Europe, or someplace, or if you have no money, going home and dying, just die. We got them to sign an agreement, agree to it, where they're not going to sue anybody. They're going to get all of this stuff. They're going to get it really fast. And what's happened is we're saving thousands and thousands of lives. It's incredible.
So a lot of people were scratching their heads, I think, and they said, why, of all the big Trump accomplishments, of all the big campaign promises, why focus on right to try, this medical regulation that allows people to have early access to drugs that have not made it all the way through the approval process and been released to the general public? And furthermore, why wouldn't he define what right to try is? A lot of people don't know what right to try is, so why is he talking about it in this way? And I thought this was a perfect little window into Trump's oratory and rhetoric. First of all, he's talking about right to try because voters tend to be old. The reliable voters tend to be people of a certain age. This is especially true for Republicans. So he's going to highlight issues that are important to elderly, conservative Americans. That's smart from the perspective of what you include in the speech. But then two, Trump is not a dork. I've hit this point time and time again, and this is just another expression of it. Trump is a guy who speaks bluntly. He seems energetic. He's not pushing his glasses up his nose, writing some white paper at a think tank. So if he came out there and he said, and we did right to try. And what is right to try? Right to try is a deregulation of the medical industry, which is afraid of the trial lawyers. So they wouldn't allow people to have early access to certain drugs. So what we did was we moved up the number of weeks after the clinical trials to the people would be asleep. He doesn't define it. He doesn't explain like a professor does. He paints a picture. He describes like an artist would. That's the difference. And people are going to call my rhetoric hyperbolic now, but I've been saying this since 2016. Trump really does use the best words, folks. Trump has a sense of poetic diction. I know the libs are going to laugh and the Trump skeptics are going to laugh, but he really does. That's why his slogans are so powerful. That's how he recognized that "Make America Great Again," which was his slogan, sometimes used by Reagan. I think Nixon even used it once, but it wasn't the Republican slogan. He recognized this is powerful. Make America great again. This is mostly Saxon words, short, pithy, evocative words. America, I guess, is not a Saxon word because our continent is named after an Italian. But it's the name of the country. What are you going to do? Make America great again. It paints a picture in your mind. That's why he's so good with symbols. The red hat. When he brought out that hat, the first time it was a white hat. I actually have one of the original run of these hats back when it was white and blue. And he wore it and everyone made fun of him. Look at this big dumb hat, says "Make America Great Again." That symbol now is so powerful. He understands the symbol of the power suit with the power tie. The man wears a uniform, pretty much the same thing all the time. It just paints a picture for you. His nicknames for his opponents just paints a picture. There's Low Energy Jeb, there's Little Marco, there's whoever. And so here, you don't need to know the specifics of this one deregulation that Trump did in office. You just know. We did this before people were dying. There was death. They were going home to die. They couldn't live. And now people live instead of die. And it also pulls into the theme of the whole speech, which is, I was supposed to be dead. My opponents wanted me dead. They nearly left me dead. God saved me. Now I'm alive. We're going to bring this country back to life is what we're going to do. Because politics is the medium through which we achieve not only our natural ends, but our supernatural ends. This is it, baby. We're not abstract spirits just floating around. We live in time and space. We are also bodies. We move in history, and we're doing it. And there's an intersection here. Reagan made this point during his famous Time for Choosing speech. Says there's something going on. When great forces are on the move in the world, we learn that we're spirits, not animals. And there's something going on in time and space and beyond time and space, which, whether we like it or not, spells destiny. You and I have a rendezvous with destiny. It's very similar kind of rhetoric. Not exactly the same words, but it's the same thrust. It's the same point. And he lands the whole thing on MAGA. That was a great clip. Now, hold up, ring the bell, subscribe to the Michael Knowles YouTube channel. We'll see you next time.